In this video, we dive into the 1990s. This was a decade that gave us the golden age of edgy, groundbreaking comedy like Father Ted, Bottom and I'm Alan Partridge. But amid the explosion of Cool Britannia, plenty of traditional sitcoms failed to land or were simply lost in the schedules. Just glancing at these titles, they're quite an eclectic bag of all sorts. Let's take a look at 4 forgotten 90s sitcoms, starting with one that dared to mix comedy with controversy. We begin in 1991 with So You Think You've Got Troubles. If you thought the subject matter of the 1970s and 1980s shows was sensitive, this one took the biscuit. Warren Mitchell starred as Ivan Fox, a Londoner and self-proclaimed Jewish atheist, who is reluctantly sent to Belfast in Northern Ireland to manage the local branch of Drummond's Tobacco Company. The entire premise surrounds on Ivan's utter dismay as he's confronted with the age-old Catholic and Protestant attitudes of the Troubles, which he, as a non-practicing Jew, simply cannot relate to. It was written by Maurice Gran and Lawrence Marks, who also penned Birds of a Feather and Shine on Harvey Moon. The show aimed for something profound and challenging. They called it one of their best works, and some felt the BBC did it less than justice. Unsurprisingly, a sitcom set in the middle of Northern Ireland's conflicts drew a mixed reaction. There are those that felt, despite being a comedy, the setting and some of the issues raised were a contributing factor to its short run. While one reviewer called it an unexpected gem, another slammed it as a woeful series. Despite being a ratings topper in Northern Ireland, the BBC ran only the single season of 6 episodes, and to this day it has never been repeated or commercially released. Next we have A Perfect State from 1997, a kind of modern suburban Passport to Pimlico. Gwen Taylor starred as Laura Fitzgerald, the deputy mayor of the quiet east coast town of Flatby. The plot is completely ludicrous in a wonderful way. Laura discovers that Flatby was somehow missed during the original Doomsday Book survey, meaning it was never officially part of the UK. Naturally, she rallies the townsfolk to declare Flatby an independent, sovereign state, much to the fury of the government in London. Despite the outlandish premise, the show was considered an exceptionally witty satire about local and international politics. However, it was felt the writers missed their opportunity to make another Passport to Pimlico. Shot in Wivenhoe in Essex, the 7-episode series sadly didn't gain the momentum to secure a second run on the BBC. In 1998, ITV tried to launch a gentle, old-fashioned comedy, hoping to capitalise on the success of a certain disgruntled star. That show was Duck Patrol. Richard Wilson, who was enjoying a break from his defining role as Victor Meldrew, starred as the elderly Constable Roland Professor Rose, nearing retirement. The cast featured some great actors, including Samantha Beckinsale, Craig Fairbrass and a very young future Doctor Who David Tennant as the geeky young PC Simon Darwin Brown. Their boss, Sarge Geoffrey Hutchins, was hilariously scared of boats and spent all his time fishing. The script for the unbroadcast pilot episode of Ducks and Men was refilmed with some changes to supporting cast and main cast uniforms and retitled as Flying Colours, which then became the first episode of the series. It was described as a gentle, relaxed, old-fashioned type of comedy. The reviewer, Adam's Nostalgic Memories, said one of the more exciting moments was Prof asking, "Where's my red pen?" You soon get the idea about what this one was going to be like. Despite the talent and heavy promotion, viewers and critics were indifferent, and it ran for just 7 episodes. It was widely speculated that the public's appetite for Richard Wilson remained firmly with one foot in the grave, and as soon as Duck Patrol ended, the much-loved Victor Meldrew returned. Finally, we come to a show that epitomises the word forgotten, ironically one that many of my channel viewers asked me to look into. It's called Starting Out. It does not seem to crop up in any newspaper or magazine articles except a Radio Times Today's Choice article that isn't available online. The main drama centred on Samantha, who was engaged to the boring, reliable, business-minded Steve, but quickly fell head over heels for the vivacious, spontaneous footballer Dean, who she met on a flight home from a holiday. It's described as a brilliant snapshot of young love and messy life, featuring Samantha's white trash mother and her sex-crazed best friend. The show does seem to be aimed at the 20-something age group of the characters. It was not a laugh-a-minute show, but the audience reaction was clearly sweetened. That's TV lingo for having more laughs added in, as they obediently chortled and sniggered at every other line. It was broadcast on Tuesday evenings and repeated on Friday or Saturday in September to November 1999, then never seen again. The only thing of note was that it was described in the Radio Times as being broadcast in digital widescreen, except this was the BBC's experimental 14:9 ratio. Normal widescreen TV is 16:9 ratio, the intention being that it would display as completely as possible on widescreen and on conventional 4:3 ratio TV screens. And that brings our tour of forgotten British sitcoms from the 1990s to a close. We've seen shows that were too sensitive, too safe, too slow, and some, like Starting Out, that simply vanished without a trace. It just goes to show you how much great, curious and sometimes terrible comedy the UK has produced over the years. Let me know in the comments which of these you'd most like to see officially repeated or released. In the next video we visit the 2000s, the era of the game-changing mockumentary style and the rise of cringe humour and realism. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.